Hi, this is Margo. This is Sunday evening, November the 8th, 2020. I hope everyone is doing as well as possible. I'd like to welcome everyone to the show tonight. This will be my weekly update that I will put on YouTube. We're going to go over methane data from NOAA and from CAMS. We'll look at how it's changed this week, and we're going to look at Arctic sea ice and maybe a couple of other things too, probably some earthquakes. So let's get going. I've got a bunch of slideshows here. I put all these in separate slideshows for you. So we're going to start with the NOAA methane data from yesterday, the 7th. This is for the 477/469 millibar reading. From the Met-1 satellite in the morning, the mean or average was 1907 parts per billion, and the high reading was 2371. In the afternoon, the mean was 1908, the high reading was 2451. On the Met-2 satellite in the morning, the mean was 1888, the high reading was 2378, and in the afternoon the mean was 1890, and the high reading was 2374. So here's the spreadsheet and chart that we've been tracking this on. Here is the data for the 7th. Here are all the means that I just called off, added up and divided by 4, and we come up with an average of 1898.25 parts per billion. Now last week we saw it end up at 1898.75, and so it's only a slight decrease of 0.5 parts per billion. So here we are. It just barely went down this week. So we think that it peaked out twice, not on a Saturday, but on a Friday each. One was a Friday and one I think was a Thursday. But anyway, it peaked out twice at 1904.25 this year, and I think we're headed in the downswing, but you never know. So the change since February 29th or March the 1st has been an increase of 21.75. This is all parts per billion. And the change since March the 1st of 2019 has been an increase of 41 parts per billion. Now I started tracking this data on March the 1st of 2019. Now if you'd like to see what this has done this week, I post this information in a video daily for my Subscribe members, and if you'd like to check that out, the link is in the description box below. We'd love to have you over there. It's a small community, but I do daily videos posting on methane and sea ice and other things, usually daily. If it's not daily, it's pretty much daily, and I do post daily over there for my members. And then I've been archiving information, archiving all the posts, and I'm up to date, and I've got all of October archived, and that's over on my website, margoshealingcorner.com. So if you are a Subscribe member, you want to check out the archives for the older posts, you can do that. And if you're not a member, you're welcome to check it out on my website. It's an archive free of charge for people to see what I've been reporting on. So here was Saturday the 31st at 1898.75. Then on Sunday it went up 0.5. Monday it stayed the same, no change. Tuesday it went up 0.75. Wednesday it went down 1.5. Thursday it went down 2.75. Friday it went up 1.25. And Saturday it went up 1.25. So even though we're seeing a decrease, we saw an increase in the last couple of days. On Friday and Saturday we're seeing pretty good sized increase. So I think we peaked out, but so overall we only went down half a part per billion this week. So there's that. Now we'll move on to our CAMS data. I have Saturday the 7th loaded up, Arctic view and surface level ready. This is the Copernicus Atmosphere Monitoring Services website out of the EU. Here's the color ledger at the bottom. So here's where it left off on Friday. We're seeing these higher readings in northern Russia, and they're coming out in the Kara Sea here, and just moving out, just like waves of methane coming up from the surface and through the ocean and through the ice, and we're still seeing a lot of green. Now that dark green that you're seeing here over most of Greenland is that's 1920 parts per billion. And then as you go to the right on this chart, it increases until finally this dark reddish brown is a range of 2160 to 10,000 parts per billion. So let's run this. The data is for Saturday, and the forecast is for Sunday through Wednesday. Now we're still seeing it bubble up here by Severnaia Zemlya. Well, it calms down in the forecast period, but once it starts over, like Saturday, that's been bubbling up all week. Sunday it's still going, and then by Monday it's calming down. But that's kind of a constant area since January. See these lighter colors of green move out, and the Arctic is having a hard time refreezing. It's in no man's land. It's just, we just have to keep observing and see what it's going to do. Got some higher readings here in Russia still. Now this eastern seaboard of the US is just really, really ballooning. Europe is filling back up. Now you can see it. Look, this wave coming up from the UK. Watch this. Stream up here. And there's another wave. So there are areas, even though methane is going down overall, there are areas that are still quite high. It takes time for the ground to cool down and for the waters to cool down, and once things are triggered, it's like a domino. It just keeps setting other stuff, sets other stuff off. Here's the North Pole view. See Europe, you're covered up, and the UK, look at that. That's awful. That's just I call it black. It's dark reddish brown. Here's the Persian Gulf. Here's India. It's still filling up, streaming out over the coastlines down into the Bengal Bay and the Arabian Sea. China is still pretty covered up. It's streaming out across the coastlines too. We're seeing it not as intense as far as just solid dark reddish brown. So that's showing areas where it's lightening up, but there are still areas that are very, very, very intense. Look at this in North America. We're also seeing, now watching the forecast period, there's a green wave that moves down and covers this whole west side of the United States. We saw this, I don't know if it was last week, we saw a similar thing. The wave just swept down, and normally we don't have green covering up the western side of the United States. Normally we have some blue, but we've got higher background colors. Let's just take a peek at North America. Now look at it just streaming up. And see, Texas is not looking good. Here's California, from Southern California all the way up. There's still fires burning. We've started, winter has come finally, and we got snow in the Reno area last night. It went from summer to winter basically, and I waited until late this afternoon to clear off my car. There was about 6 inches on my car, and for some reason my car gets more snow than everybody else's car. So, but it was melted. The sun was out today, and the streets are melted. The parking lot's all melted, but it had not melted on my car, and by late afternoon I still had about 6 inches on my car. So I got that cleared off. And that's kind of early for us to get snow. I mean, not up in the mountains. In the mountains normally they're getting snow by September, October, but down in the valley, the further east you go from the mountains, the less you're supposed to get. So this was a kind of a shocker, really. But we definitely needed it. Now we'll look at the global view. So we're seeing this darker blue, that's 1800 parts per billion. That's moving further south, overtaking this lighter blue, which is 1820. That's a sign that things are calming down a little bit. But you have to remember, we're still in no man's land with this. We're still higher than we've been in human recorded history. So we just don't know what to expect. Here's 500 HPA. Now this is equivalent to the level that we saw on the NOAA data, so we've got quite a bit still over the Arctic region. Here it is over Alaska and from northern Canada and across the Arctic, and here in this is southern Russia here, and here it's streamed out. This is the Pacific Ocean there. Here's total column. We can see it's still highest over China and India. It's not as bad as it has been. So that's another sign that it's going down a little bit, little tiny bit. But we're seeing some greens. See, these greens are showing up around Antarctica, and look down here by in the Ross Sea there too. So there's that. Let's move on to what do we want to move on to? Let's move on to sea ice and snow cover. This is from Climate Reanalyzer for today. Here's where it's trying to refreeze. We can see the Bering Strait is still open, and a lot of this area where the Pacific comes into the Arctic is still open. We've got a big huge area in the Laptev Sea that is still open. Here's the Kara Sea. It's coming back around the coastline of all these areas, but it's still open a long way around Novaya Zemlya up to Severnaya Zemlya, and then all of the Barents Sea is open, and Svalbard is still ice-free. Franz Josef Land is still ice-free. And what you're going to see when we look at NASA Worldview is it was coming back out towards Svalbard, and then the last few days there's been a retreat, and this sea ice here north of Greenland and through this Fram Strait is breaking up. It's having a hard time on the refreeze. So that's kind of got me worried. So let's go through where we were, what has happened this week. So here it is from Sunday of last week when I did my report. So here it was on November 1st. So I'm just going to click through and you can see the changes day by day. Here's the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. Now you can see that retreat coming back. See if we do it. Let's go through that again. That was good. Because I was watching up here on the refreeze, but I'm going to watch down here on this right hand side. So, and where it's refreezing, it's very thin. It's quite thin. So here we go. Here's the 1st, here's the 2nd, 3rd. Okay, it started retreating here. Now watch here. 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. So as it's growing back up here by Russia, it's decreasing here on this, I'd call it the eastern side of the North Pole. The North Pole is right here. So this is quadrant 2. quadrant 1, 2, 3, and 4 is how I've named them. So we've got a retreat going on here in quadrant 2. So there's that. Now, let's go through our other pictures. Here's the sea ice thickness for today. This is from the Navy website. So we can see where it's refrozen somewhat, and it's still clear. We've got a little white fringe popping up by Novaya Zemlya and around the Yamal Peninsula. And the purple, that's very thin. That's probably, see, it's this light purple down here, so it's half a meter or less. It's just coming back. And then there are areas where it's not come back yet. And that's because the sea surface temperature is just too warm for the sea ice to come back. And we're seeing the aqua ribbon down here on this north coast of Greenland. It's a little bit more solid here. We're getting a little bit more aqua coming back around Ellesmere Island, and then the rest of this Canadian archipelago. Here's what's left of this thickest sea ice. It hasn't changed that much in the week, and it hasn't shifted that much. I think it's anchored in here on the archipelago, but it hasn't changed that much. So we'll just go through. I did a slideshow because the Navy website didn't update their animation, so I made my own slideshow. Here we were last week on the 1st, so I'm just going to click through and we'll see how this has changed this week. Here's the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. So let's run through that again. Here's the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. So we saw the retreat here and the little purple coming back here, but not much happening on this thickest part. We're seeing a little bit more blue. I guess it doesn't look that much different to me as far as the thickness right here. So it's just kind of holding its own. Now I wanted to show the Beaufort Sea. I've been watching this. This is a different view of this is the Beaufort Sea. This is from the Navy website. This is sea ice thickness. This is that thickest sea ice. And so here's a close-up. Here's Alaska down here, and here's Canada over here. Here's the Bering Strait. So this is the here's the Beaufort Gyre here. So here's what's left of this thickest sea ice and what it looks like today. And so we'll just click through to see what it's done this week. So here it was last Sunday. And I don't think much has changed, frankly. I think things have, it's what you're going to see is mainly a thickening of this and just a little bit of shifting, but not much. So here we go on the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. So it's just kind of sitting there, and not much has really changed as far as the thickness here right on the coastline. It looks like we're getting a few more greens showing up along here, which would be thicker than the aqua. The green is 3 meters, or that green is 3 meters. The aqua is 2 to 2.5 meters thick. So let's run through that again. Here's the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth. So it looks about the same. And it's coming back up to the Alaska and Canada coastlines, but that's kind of it. And one more. This is the ice drift in the Beaufort Sea, and these colors down here, this is like very calm down to 0, like that dark aqua is 0, and then it goes up, and this is in centimeters per second. So it's been pretty calm this week, so maybe that's why it hasn't shifted much. A lot of action has been taking place around the Alaska coastline and where it's coming up in this Bering Strait. So we can see, we'll see what it's done this week. So here's last Sunday where it was quite calm. So here we go. Here's the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth. So we just had a couple of days where it was really affecting this ice at all, and mainly it was pushing it, compressing it, and pushing it down into the coastline there. So that's where we're at with that. Now let's move on. So next we'll look at NASA Worldview. I couldn't get the National Snow and Ice Data Center website up. They were down today for whatever reason. But last week when we looked at it, that was on the refreeze. It's on the lowest on record, and for this time of year. And I looked a couple of days ago and we were still low. So here it is today. I will turn on the blue marble view so we can just concentrate on the ice. So what we're looking at, this is sea ice concentration, and we want solid white. That's what we want. And we've got that over here where it's on the recent refreeze, but it's not very thick, but it's more solid because it's thin ice, and it just refroze, and it's not pieces of ice that have broken apart and there's a lot of space in between and things like that. So what we've got down here is this looks like it's breaking apart to me, because when you go when you look at this chart, sea ice concentration, this is at 70%, 65% on the green. That's 62% concentration, and it was more concentrated, and so it's breaking up. They've been having storms up there. So what I want to do is we'll just go back to the first So here's where we were last Sunday. So we're seeing on last Sunday it was a lot more concentrated. We still had a little red over here on this right side, but up here in quadrant 2 it was just light pink, so showing it's more concentrated. Now here's the North Pole, here's Greenland, there's Russia up here. So we're just going to click through and see what's happened this week. There's the 2nd, 3rd, 4th. Oh, come on. Got to refresh sometimes. There we go. Here's the 5th. Now see, it's really starting to break up here on the 5th. Here's the 6th. See, we're getting yellows in here by the 6th. Here's the 7th. So it's not looking good by the 7th. And here's the 8th today. And it's retreating. So let's go back. Let's do that again. So it was more bowed out here and reaching Franz Josef Land. And it's trying to reach towards Svalbard. Now, so this part is inching back and refreezing, and here a little bit in the Kara Sea, but this side, on this east side, it's coming back in. It's retreating. So let's run through this again. Here was last Sunday, the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. So there we go. So we still have this hole here in the Kara Sea. Then this hole here. I mean, this is the, sorry, that's the Laptev Sea here and here. And then this problem area all from the North Pole east. It's really disturbing me. And it's just in the last couple of days. See? So it started on the 5th. Here's the 6th, 7th, and 8th. So, for whatever reason, that's just not looking very good there. I'm going to turn on the nighttime. See if we can glean anything here. The nighttime layer. It might be too far past. It only works to a certain point. Okay, there's Svalbard. Here's the edge. This is the ice edge here. Here's Greenland down here. Can't really see that much. Let's look at yesterday. Okay, if you zoom in, you can see it's all broken up. See all of this? It's a lot of broken up stuff there. hard to see. It's very difficult to make out. Now over here, see, it's not up to the coastline. This is, I think that's Ellesmere. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, that's Ellesmere Island. Here is the sea ice. That's the thicker sea ice. Let's see what it is today. Here it is. Still seeing lots of long cracks. I can't see that that's frozen in between there. Let's see, lots of long cracks still. Okay, there's Alaska. Can't make it out. Anyway, that's what I've got on the sea ice. And this big black area, that's where it's dark now. Oh, while we're on sea ice, I wanted to show there's an article that came out this week about my favorite iceberg, A68. Can't see it today. It's too cloudy. Let's go to yesterday. This guy right here. There he is. He broke off of the Larsen C ice shelf in 2017. We've been watching this journey of this iceberg. It was huge. It's huge. It's as big as the state of Delaware, basically. It was more oval shaped. It's pieces of it had broken off, but it's pretty much still intact. But it's headed for an island right there. It's in the clouds. I'll show you. They're upset. It's headed for, this is called South Georgia Island. It's headed for that. And the article that I saw on November the 2nd, now see, it's more pointed toward it. here on the 2nd, but it's already started spinning. See, it's turning. I don't know if it's going to make it to the island or what. It's underneath that cloud, but we're going to be watching that. But there was an article about what's going to happen, but it broke off right down here. I'll show you. And this, see this area? It broke off right in here. It was part of the Larsen C ice shelf. See, it's already, it used to come out like this, but it broke off. And we've been watching it for about a year. It was just stuck right here, and then it started coming around, and I've been reporting on that, showing it. So it did not get caught up in the sea ice this year, or in their winter time. They're headed into summer now, or spring and summer down there in the Antarctic. So the sun is up, and we'll be watching A68, my favorite iceberg. So let's look at Climate Reanalyzer now. Here are the maximum temperatures today. We're seeing colder air over Greenland and over parts of the Arctic. But we still have a lot of warmer air that's warmer than normal. Reds and browns. This red is up to 20 C higher than normal. Also here in Alaska and Canada and over most of Russia, it looks like. We've also got a lot of reds and browns over North America, and then right next to it blues, where it's a lot colder than normal. Here's the Antarctic. Look at this big red zone coming down through Russia and Kazakhstan. So overall worldwide we're up 0.8 C higher than normal. The northern hemisphere is up 1.6 C and the Arctic is up 3.7 C. The tropics are up 0.4 C. Southern hemisphere is in balance and the Antarctic is down 0.3 C. And this is on a 1979 to 2000 baseline. So we know it's warmer than that, much warmer than that. We don't know exactly how much because we don't have those measurements exactly. Here's precipitation for today. You can see it's snowing up here. Rain coming up into Greenland. Well, next to Greenland, and it's turning into snow. Here's our snow that we got. There's another hurricane coming into Florida. That's not stopping. Here's 10 meter wind speed. It's quite high down here on the southern tip of Greenland. And see, it's swooping It's not super fast, but it is kind of fast up here north of Greenland. It's in that green zone. It's up to, looks like 27 knots. That's pretty high, so that could be what's tearing up that sea ice. Your sea level pressure. Got a big low down here. We've had a couple of lows up here in the Arctic. Here's the jet stream. Look how broken up it is. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Hang on. I hit the wrong thing. Here we go. This is causing weather chaos. We saw sea ice and snow cover. This has still not been updated sea surface temperature anomaly since Friday, October 30th. The same as sea surface temperature. That has not been updated. If we wanted to look at sea surface temperature, we could go to Earth Null School. I didn't do it. Now let's look at some earthquakes. I took these pictures this morning. There were 227 worldwide. This is all magnitudes on USGS. Look at this big one in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Then we've got them coming down here. This red line, just all the way around. I mean, lots of plate movement. Here in the lower 48, we're seeing 112. Here in Southern California, only 18. Now, we're seeing a much lower number in a lot of these places. Here at Searles Valley Ridgecrest, only 8 today. That is the lowest I've ever seen it since this started rocking. Here in western Nevada, over to Mammoth Lakes, there were 29. Now that's low too. The biggest one was this 3.9 here in Mena, Nevada. Now here at Lassen Park, here is Lassen Volcano. This is the old, it's a dormant volcano. There were 10, so we've got a cluster going here. This is in Northern California. Also in Northern California, we have 1, 2, 3, 5 here, 3 at Willits, and 2 at Lake Pillsbury. Here, this is at the base of the Juan de Fuca Plate, and off the coast of Northern California was a 3.1 near Ferndale and a 2.7 near Petrolia. So this is the San Andreas fault line that comes up and joins the Juan de Fuca Plate. It's right at the fulcrum point. This is the Pacific Northwest over to Yellowstone. We're seeing no action in Yellowstone or Idaho, and this is all in Washington and down into Oregon. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. A couple of them are at Mount St. Helens. One is at Mount Rainier. So we've got, they're just lined up there. Here in Colorado, we're seeing 1, 2, 3, 4. The largest one was this 3.8 on this western border. The reporting station was LaSalle, Utah, but it was actually in Colorado. Then there was also a 2.6 there, a 2.7, and then over here by Walsenburg, Colorado, was a 2.4. So we don't see them in these areas very often. Now here in Oklahoma, we're only seeing one, a 1.9, and then we've got a 2.6 at Maynard, Arkansas. This is part of the New Madrid hazard zone. And here we had a 3.6 near Bliss Corner, Massachusetts. This came in at 6:10 this morning, and this is a rare earthquake. We normally don't see them there. Here is this 5.1 in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, central mid-Atlantic ridge between South America and Africa, right on the red line. Puerto Rico showing 9 today. They're fairly small, 2s and low 3s. Here, next to this Cocos Plate, this is off the coast in the Central America, we had a 4.1 and a 4.5. South America is showing 3 today, a 4.7 in Peru up here, and then a 4.6 and a 4.7 in Chile. Hawaii showing 9 today, only one up here at Kilauea and one up here on this northwest edge, and then most of them were down here at Pahala. Here at Alaska, we're showing 66 today. Now yesterday there was a 5.0 or a 5.1 near Anchorage. Here in the Anchorage area, we're showing 38. The biggest one so far is this 3.0 at Big Lake. So that 5.0 had come off the map by then. Here in the Southwest Pacific, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5.3 is the largest at Lata, Solomon Islands. Then a 4.9 Papua New Guinea, 4.3 Ambon, Indonesia, and a 4.5 Nabir, Indonesia. Here in the Japan, and this is Russia, but it's like another island north of Japan, there were 3. So we've got 2 in the Izu Islands region of Japan, a 5.2 and a 4.6 on top of each other. There's Japan. And then this island is part of Russia. This was a 4.6 at Sakhalin, Russia. This is right on another fault line. Here from China over to Saudi Arabia, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We've got a 4.4 down here in the Arabian Sea in the Owen fracture zone. We've got a 4.3 at India right here. 4.0 Turkey up here. 4.6 Tajikistan right there. 4.4 India. One of these is in this looks, I thought this was China. These are both India. Kishtwar, India, and Heyuliang, India. and then a 4.3 here in Iran, right here on the coast of the Persian Gulf. Then there were two in the South Indian Ocean, a 4.8 and a 4.7. This is just south of Africa, right on this red line. So we're seeing a lot of plate movement, even though it wasn't an extremely high number of earthquakes. Where they're located is what I'm looking at. I wanted to show also, I've got a couple of more pictures. We'll go look at ozone and sulfur dioxide. This is the ozone hole over the Antarctic today. We can see it shrinking down slowly, and the black area has now disappeared as of today. So we're down to the navy blue and the other blues. All of this area within the dark line is in the danger zone as far as ozone thinness. Here's the Arctic view for ozone. We're seeing thinning from the North Pole over to Russia, and see the green, and then the blue-green is thinner than the green. Also down here through Russia and down into these Middle Eastern countries, down into Europe. It's this thinning is moving across North America. We can see aqua now coming across into the Great Lakes. I had a brain fart there. And moving out and over across the Arctic Ocean, the Atlantic Ocean. Here's the global view. Look at this break right here. See, we're getting some reds back around, which we should, but not very much. But see this break here, where it just goes right up from the Antarctic all the way up. So we're still seeing lots and lots of greens, which is thin as well. But when you get into the blues, like this bluish purple, this is between 200 and I think it's 220 Dobson units under, and when it goes under that, you're really in the danger zone. But we're losing the ozone layer. Here's sulfur dioxide today. We've got a new high reading here. This is in the Southwest Pacific. Looks like near Tonga. I'm not sure if this is from earthquake or volcanoes. We have volcanoes going off all over the place. So here it is at 500 HPA. That's high reading. Look at what's being released from Hawaii today. That's very high as well, just shooting right up into the atmosphere. Here's South America. This is we've got volcanoes going off up here and all the way down this west side of South America. And here's Popocatépetl as well. And we've also got volcanoes going off at Kamchatka Peninsula. We've got 2 or 3 going off up there. Here's the East Tropic view. Now we've got high readings over China. This is from pollution, and India, same thing, and the Middle East, same thing. Here it is at 500 HPA, so this is probably volcanic. And the same up here at Kamchatka, because it shoots right up. Here's the Pacific view. Look at Hawaii. Now we've been seeing some higher readings from Hawaii for the last couple of weeks, and it's been streaming up and spreading across the Pacific. Here's 500 HPA. Looks freaky. Here's the West Tropic view. So here's North America, here's Mexico, here's Popo, and then down through South America. And 500 HPA. Those are all of those pictures. So let's look at USGS now. See if anything else has come in we want to look at. This one is new, a 4.5, Playa Azul, Mexico. So a new one then on this COCOS plate. So it's still coming in. Everything's just rocking along. So with these lower readings here, I'm thinking pressure is building. So we're going to start seeing some larger earthquakes now, because these were low numbers. 18, that's low. And look at this, Cyril's Valley. This is where we had those big earthquakes July 4th of last year. Look, we're down to 6 now. This is not over. This is just not over. Pressure is building. It's just gotta be. And see it spreading out. And the geysers, I was kind of flipping out because there was no activity at the geysers for several days, and now we've got 24, which is, wait, let's get in a little closer. How many? 21. So that's an average number. 20 to 30 like is an average number. But we had several days where there was no activity here, and I was getting upset because I knew pressure was building. So I'd like to finish up tonight by reading from the Bible, from Matthew chapter 6. Now I know a lot of people have been praying, and we want to be praying, but sometimes we really don't know how to pray. We think we know what we need and what we know what we want, but that may not be what's in our best interest. and we think we know what we need, but that may not be in our best interest as far as God goes. So years ago, I started just praying, let your will be done. Just let go of what I think I need and I desire, because I don't know what God has in store. Nobody really knows. And so I'd like to read from Matthew chapter 6, starting with verse 5, where the disciples have come to Jesus and they're asking, how should we pray? And this is Jesus speaking to the disciples. And when thou prayest, thou shalt not be as the hypocrites are, for they love to pray standing in the synagogues and in the corners of the streets, that they may be seen of men. Verily I say unto you, they have their reward. But thou, when thou prayest, enter into thy closet, and when thou hast shut thy door, pray to thy Father which is in secret, and thy Father which seeth in secret shall reward thee openly. But when ye pray, use not vain repetitions as the heathen do, for they think that they shall be heard for their much speaking. Be not ye therefore like unto them, for your Father knoweth what things ye have need of, before ye ask him. After this manner thereof pray ye, Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. For if ye forgive men their trespasses, your heavenly Father will also forgive you. But if ye forgive not men their trespasses, neither will your Father forgive your trespasses. So I just thought that might be appropriate for what we're going through these days. Time is short. If you haven't gotten right with God and Jesus, I recommend you do it now. I recommend you get your spiritual house in order. No one knows the day or the hour. No one knows when their last breath will be. So, now's the time. So I'm praying for everyone. So I love you, and until next time, God bless you. Go in peace, and I'll talk to you soon. Good night.